Jorge Mas, part owner of Inter Miami CF. Jorge, thank you for coming by this weekend.
Thank you.
We really appreciate you being here to talk about all this different stuff going on now that you guys have finally broken ground or started demolition on Lockhart Stadium. Just talk about a little bit about how exciting getting that ball rolling and how tough it's been to get to this point.
Well, you know, finally getting something going, something positive, obviously, to bring this dream that started with David Beckham, bringing an MLS team to Miami, to South Florida. You know, for us, it's been some obstacles. There's been difficulty, but obviously, and I want to, you know, hats off to the city of Fort Lauderdale and the leadership provided by the mayor and the commissioners there, to really allow us to begin, you know, construction in terms of getting started for March of 2020, our opening season. You know, we're going to build a stadium at the Lockhart Stadium site, you know, a place full of history where most of South Florida's professional soccer teams have had a place, and in addition, we're going to try to make that the gateway for soccer here, not only in South Florida, but for the Americas.
So for that first season, March 2020, that's the kickoff. For that first season, could you tell us a little bit about how that site's going to look? Because it will be the first year, and you guys are still going to do plenty more things around that site.
Yes. The site now, the progression is as follows. We're going to be doing demolition not only of Lockhart Stadium, but of the baseball stadium that is there, which at one point houses the Orioles and Yankees. So we're going to clear the site. There's 64 acres. About 40 acres of those will be, you know, soccer centric. One with our training academy and our fields. It'll be 9 fields. One of them will include some facilities for Broward high schools. It'll be a 50,000 square foot building, which will have a high performance training center. We want it to be a state-of-the-art center. 2, it will house all of our teams, all of our academy teams from 12 to 19 years old. We start at U12. It will house our first team, it will house our USL team, and it will house our technical team there. So that is, you know, site work is going to begin for that. We're going to prioritize the fields so we can get those built out as quickly as possible. The facility will be built in conjunction with the stadium. We're finalizing the designs of the stadium actually this morning. We're working on the final designs of the canopies on the exterior look. We're going to start getting that fabricated quickly. Demolition will actually begin probably in about 10 days. You know, it really started already. There was some asbestos remediation we were doing. We anticipate that to take 4 or 5 weeks. Simultaneous site work. We're going to start foundation work at the end of June, early July, and we'll start erecting the steel and the stands in the stadium hopefully in October. So we are targeting a February finish. I think it'll be a very, very great facility for our fans. It'll be, I think, something that has to be upstanding with our brand. You know, I've had the opportunity, you know, I was recently in Barcelona, the Champions League game. I've been in Madrid and in London, and there's a lot of talk about Inter Miami, about our team, I think, you know, being MLS's global team. I think there's an extreme amount of interest in what we're doing. So we're going to do everything, number one, with our fans in mind. This is the people's team, but we want to do everything first class.
Now, you mentioned the demolition. I think next time when the guy in the backhoe is going to hit a roof, man, you just got to floor it. You got to nail it. You got to nail it. Now, in addition to building a stadium, you guys are also building a team. And when we talk about people wondering, oh, they've got 10 months to build the stadium, you've also got 10 months to find players, find coaches. What's the latest there? I know this summer you kind of want to name a coach, and I know you have 3 in mind, but how does that process start to come together now?
The process has been ongoing. Since Paul McDonough, our technical director that we brought from Atlanta United, MLS Cup winners, a team that he built, you know, he's been on board. We've been working the last 6 months. We have a tremendous technical staff. Jason Kreis is part of our staff. He's a U.S. Olympic coach, which we're going to lend to U.S. soccer for the Olympics. We have a team which I think has been built. They've actually scouted, and I'm going to go back before I go forward, 6,000 young men in the South Florida area. They picked 650 for tryouts. We started naming our youth academy teams this last 2 weeks. We've picked 160 young men to be part of the U12, the U19. Why is that important? That's going to be the feeder system for our first team. We want to train and have homegrown players be part of the first team. But let me jump to what everybody wants to know, our team. We have, if you go into our offices, I've seen at least 12 potential, you know, rosters with what type of player we have. We're going to be an offensive-minded team. You know, we're going to be an aggressive attacking team. We have in the MLS, we have the opportunity to have 3 designated players, which means those are players which we can exceed the salary cap with. We have in mind probably targeted 8 or 9 players that we're looking at. They're all international stars. They're all very well known. They all play in Europe. They all play on their national teams. You know, we're working with them. We're very close to reaching an agreement with them. We will probably be able to announce that, I would say, late summer, early fall. We have been interviewing coaches. We've interviewed, I think, about a finalist list of 3. You know, I've taken a part in interviewing them. I've been in Europe several times. They all have international experience. I think that they will be able to spearhead. And the most important thing for me is for a coach to establish a culture, a winning culture, a culture where, you know, you can take your young academy players and create them to be men. I think there has to be, I think leadership matters. They have to lead. I want them to motivate. I want them to be technically sound, but more importantly, that our players want to play for him. I want to get leaders here. I want to get, players who are important, who can teach younger players the right way to do things. So I think that you're going to see, I think, a tremendously talented team. I've always emphasized we're going to win. In South Florida, you have to win. We will be a winning team from day one. But then the process will take place like that. We're going to sign free agents. We're going to bring many of those signings from overseas clubs. At the same time, the MLS draft takes place in December. Where basically you get the pool of college players and other players. Basically, there's an expansion draft where we can pick players from other teams.
Expansion teams get a relatively high pick as well.
Yes, they do. Yes, we'll either have the first or second pick, obviously with Nashville, who is the other expansion team coming online next year. But I think that you'll see us much more active in signing players outside of the draft. And I think that at least the rosters that I've seen so far, I think South Florida and I think we're going to have a really good team.
It's honestly really interesting when you think about it. When you mention the academies and then bringing in big free agents, it's kind of this self-sustaining thing where you bring in the free agents, you get the winning started, and you see the academies try to follow suit and try to follow that path. Now, practicing. When does that get underway? Because you know what, we can see the fields being built, but the team's got to be built too. When does practicing and training? When can fans actually see a physical team on the field?
Right. Well, our academy teams are going to start practicing in June. So we're going to be housing our academy practice for now at the Central Broward Regional Stadium, where we've had our tryouts. That's where initially we're going to do it. We're hoping to have our fields built probably by November, so we can start our academy practices there. Our first team practices will take place at the Lockhart Stadium site. When I anticipate those will get started late December, early January, in preparation for the season in March. So there's really a short time window to get that ready, but we'll hopefully have all of the fields prepared at that time. So, you know, you're going to be able to see your first team practice early next year, late next year as we build the roster. Our academy teams will be playing. Our coaches and scouts are very high. On one of our teams, I think you'll be seeing our youth academy teams travel internationally and play in international tournaments. What they tell me, and these are all coaches that have come from different cities, very successful, that our talent here in South Florida is exceptional. They're very optimistic about the quality of play here and what we can do, so I think that bodes well for what we can do in the future. And it's really about building, you know, we want to institutionalize what we do. We don't want to come with the up and downs and just depend on if you have a free agent striker and he scores 30 goals or not. I want to be able to have a team that's self-sustaining, that grows, that we can continue to do and establish a culture here of winning that permeates throughout the whole organization.
Now, along with the excitement that happened earlier this week with the demolition, you guys made an announcement. There was a big text message that went out. You guys already are not selling tickets just yet, but you can put that deposit down. What can you tell fans about who want to get in on the ground floor on the inaugural season? What can you tell fans about the ticketing process so far?
We started a membership campaign, which is a ticket deposit will get you in line for priority of seats. We will have a seat manifest where you can actually pick your seats probably in the next month, but we're taking deposits. Frankly, I'm amazed about the amount of reaction.
Blown away, huh?
Blown away, frankly. We've had an extreme amount of interest. There's been a significant amount of, there have been thousands of deposits already. You go to intermiamicf.com. It'll take you right to the ticketing. You can reserve your deposit, which will give you first in line choice of seats, not only for the Fort Lauderdale Stadium, for also what we're going to be doing at Miami Freedom Park. So, you know, become a part of our dream, our vision. It's going to be a lot of fun. Our supporters groups have been very active. They've been great. And, you know, we want to create a very fun team, a team that is excited, that you want to be a part of, that is part of our community, part of the fabric of the community, because sports unites. We have a beautiful cultural mosaic here, which all love this beautiful game of soccer. So, you know, join us. It's going to be a great ride.
You mentioned Miami Freedom Park, and you're here, so I got to ask, The other day you said in between the next 60 and 90 days you hope to have some clarity and maybe even the go-ahead to start, renovating Mel Reese.
Yes.
So what are some of the hurdles that you guys are still, running into with that site?
Well, the next step for us is to negotiate a final lease with the City of Miami. City of Miami is picking a law firm in order to assist them in the negotiations of this lease or development deal, which I frankly think is not complicated. We'll be able to get that done quickly.
Yeah.
I'm confident the City Commission will pick one in the next 2 weeks. I don't think that negotiation will be extended. I think in 3 or 4 weeks we can get that done. Hopefully we can get it in front of the Commission. I think that there is too many positives in that deal, in that transaction. I'm very confident that we'll have a unanimous hopefully go ahead from the City Commission. But when you look at the compelling nature of 3,000 permanent high-paying jobs, over $40 million in revenue to the city, county, state, and school board coffers, zero city contribution. I will repeat again, zero city contribution from the city. $5 million contribution to the Riverwalk project. Living wage guarantees on the project with a $15 minimum, and so many other community benefits that are there. And more importantly, the creation of a 60-acre park. I think it'll be a wonderful benefit and amenity, and it'll be a world-class, state-of-the-art stadium that will be a centerpiece of what soccer can be done in the Americas. So I'm very, very much looking forward to getting started.
When's sort of the cutoff date for that? Because I know you guys are aiming for 2022 for that to open up. So you guys have the Lockhart site, so if you don't get it at a certain point, at least you have one stadium. But at least for that 2022 date, when sort of we need to start building?
We need to get the lease approved and green lighted in the next 2-3 months.
Yeah.
Which will give us, because after that there's a process of platting and zoning, et cetera. If we're breaking ground early next year, I expect on the site work and foundations, we should be fine for the 2022 season. But I'm very much looking forward to 2022 being our seminal point and seminal year, because we're going to have some surprises for our fans for 2022.
Wow, surprises and a guaranteed winning season.
Absolutely.
In that first year, 2020. We're all certainly looking forward to it. Jorge, thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank you.
Jim, back to you.
Thank you.